is you keep them on a really long rein at first. I mean, I don't like to see people walking around on the buckle all the time for, 20 minutes or anything, or stretchy circles at the trot all the time. Eventually, you've got to put your horse together, but it doesn't have to start together. Because what we want is we want him to get comfortable, we want his back to become like a bridge, and the more you can get him to, kind of bring his back up and his both ends under and down, the better off you are. And it's very important to remember that it's both ends. We don't just ride the front end of the horse. As a matter of fact, we should be riding the rear end of the horse, and the front end will take care of itself. Although then you see the people that don't touch anything, and they expect the horse to come together. It never will, because you have to ask something.
Yeah.
But the key there is ask, not demand, not pull, not force.
Invite them to.
Exactly,
Yeah.
invite them.
Yeah.
So you're sitting, each seat bone's dropping, you're feeling yourself out, you're stretching down in your britches, how the ball goes, and have your legs nice and long and down, and just kind of hug them with the left leg, upper left leg, catch them in the right rein a little bit, and then soften both, because you can't do anything 100% of the time, or pretty soon they ignore that. That's just the new normal, you know what I mean? And they have to know that it means something. And then when you want to get them, you keep that right rein, sort of let it lay along the neck, like the muscle of the neck, like a band on a barrel. We don't want him to collapse to the outside. And that comes from the neck only going to the inside, and then they pop out the outside shoulder, which isn't true bend. It's avoiding a bend. It's kind of like this. This is the shoulder, see? So when you do that, you got this funny envelope-y type fold of paper thing.
Yeah.
What you want is this, tension in it. And the only way you can have the tension is to have the outside band on the barrel, the outside rein, and the outside leg back to guard the haunches from stepping out. Because whichever rein you pull on, the haunch goes the other direction. So if you pull on the left rein, he'll step out to the right, and vice versa. Now it's worse on the side that's soft and it's, or the side that's hard. I guess the side that's hard, it's even worse. But it's all logical. It's all like you have to remember that you're riding a four-legged thing. We're all two-legged and we want to do everything with our hands. And riding argues with that premise a lot. You've got to become a whole different thing. So, okay, you're riding, you're turning him with your seat and legs. You can kind of feel like you have the same length of space between your hands, and if you're going to open one, you take the other one with it, sort of along the neck. So you kind of like have this,
like a book or a board, like you said.
yeah, like you have a,
So-
I was teasing. It was awful. I made an awful joke once about that.
Oh, you practiced it.
Holly says, "What are you talking about?" Remember?
Oh, yeah.
That was a bad joke. Wasn't it? It was very bad.
And you might have to tell her the instructions.
Yes, I am going to.
Okay.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna want to do the other direction as well. Is this his softer side? I kind of think it is.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you're gonna change your legs. Your upper right leg comes in there. Your outside rein, left rein, is along the neck. You kind of talk to his tongue. I know you can't feel his tongue. And I remember a lot of years riding thinking, I can't really feel this tongue, but I'm trying to talk to his tongue. And I'm trying to hear the answer that he's saying with his tongue. You can't feel that in your hands. You really can't, but you almost can.
Yeah, you can feel when
You
they're.
can feel when they do something.
Yeah, a little bit of chewing. Or,
That's how concentrated you have to be on it. You don't want to pull, you don't want a blue tongue, you don't want his tongue starting to hang out. You don't want any of that stuff. So you don't want to pull them together. Even if you're pulling him together and driving him together, you don't want that. What you want is to put them together momentarily, give somewhere, basically the inside rein, and let him demonstrate a moment, at least, of self-carriage. And then when all those moments start hanging together, you got this longer time. and it's pretty good.
It's fun.
It's pretty cool. It gives you a super high.
Yeah.
Not that I know what highs are. You know, when I hear myself on video, I have the most awful upper Midwest accent.
Well, no, there's people that's worse than you, but you have a little bit of one.
I do. I hate it that I lived in Texas for 15 years and everybody goes, oh, are you from Minnesota?
You should hear my family from North Dakota.
Oh, yeah, you thought that. I've been in North Dakota for clinics in
It's nice in the summer.
Williston and in Fargo.
Williston's nothing but oil now.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so your fingers talk to them. You close your hands, but the movements can be as little as your movement of your ring finger. Just tiny little movements. Now, if he goes, I don't hear you a bit, you know, I can't hear that, and you have to do a little bit more. But he looks so good.
This is really good.
Yes.
The last time you rode that I was watching, she was saying that the walk had gotten harder.
Yeah.
And he was a little more resistant, but now he's nodding
No,
and he
yeah,
looks
exactly.
really.
He is nodding.
Yeah.
And see, you know why that happens? Because sometimes to get the horse on the bit or giving in the pole or on the aids, as we prefer saying, you have to have the impulsion to do it. Sometimes when the walk just gets like, I don't have to do this, I can resist more than you can drive in the walk. And I can resist more than you can take and give. You know, I can go right back to what I was without a problem. But the more you have impulsion, which sometimes comes, you know, with a gait up like a trot, that's why some horses, you know, when we used to get horses off the track, there were certain ones that we actually warmed up in canter.
And he actually, after canter,
Yeah.
a lot of times that's when he lets go in his pole.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's all about that forward impulsion, and then he gives more because
Yeah.
it's easier for
It's
him.
like, I mean, I have
Yeah.
video where,
Yeah.
I mean, he's never bad, but he's like
Yeah.
slightly above the aids, and
Right.
then she canters,
Yes.
and he's still slightly above, and then suddenly all
Yeah.
the muscles in his neck just
I
go.
want to get that taken
yeah,
care of
yeah.
today. Yeah, absolutely.
It's beautiful because all the top line muscles in
Yes.
his neck just pop
Exactly.
out. And
He looks really good. He
Yeah,
does. He
she's
looks
doing
a
an
lot better
awesome
than
job with him.
when we saw
Yeah.
him last time. Very good.
He was still kind of
So your
loud and
steady
woolly.
right rein, close those fingers. Don't be a hunter, open finger rider. That looks like everything's light because you're just doing this. That's not light. That's
Pinky
nothing.
up riding.
Exactly. Yeah.
my
That's
pinky.
not light. That's just nothing.
Yeah.
And as much as we don't want kicking and holding, we don't want nothing. We want there's a good happy medium in there. Good boy. Good boy. Are we on the same direction again?
She changed again.
Oh, he changed again. Okay. All right. I want to see that stiff side again, just for a moment, because what I did notice, and I do notice things, I just forget to say them, and sometimes they're gone forever. But I did notice that when you got to start bending him with the right rein, make sure your left leg is back guarding the haunch, because whatever we do, we want the nose and the tail in the same direction. Okay? Yes. I can talk a little softer. I don't have to yell so much. Outside leg back, inside leg forward. And when you use them, it's almost like a scissor action. You don't want your legs to compete with each other. You want them to have this position that is almost like if you didn't have the horse there, you could scissor them. They cross. So the inside one is forward, the outside one is back. Every time you use a rein, you want to support it with at least one leg, if not both. And on this side, you want to use the outside leg back every time you take on the right rein, so that the butt goes that way and he doesn't step to the outside with the left hind, which the right hind will follow, but you know what I mean. Because that undoes the bend, and it's all about the bend. We should make a song like that about all about the bass, about the bass.
Yeah.
We'll do all about the bend. They all laugh at me, and she's gonna go, I should not have come.
As soon as I said all about the band, I was already singing that.
You were singing that song in your head. It is. It's all about the bend, because the minute the horse can step out, he avoids the bend through the body. And that's what really gets them even. Because it's not just contracting the long side and making it shorter, it's stretching the short side. And that's almost harder for them, You could almost see that you can probably go like this better, but if you're really tight somewhere, it's harder to stretch the short side. So you got to think of it as both things, both sides. It's not one-sided. The only time I'll let you do one-sided is in canter. Because it's a one-sided movement. Okay, so now you're sitting in, your seat bones are dropping. Try not to tighten up too much. You know, you don't want to get up to go down. You want to stay down and follow. Because we want you like a piece of that saddle. You know, we want you to just look like nothing moves. I wish it felt like that.
Elegant, yes.
Elegant, totally, yes. Yes, and on Karma, that is a trick. Her horse,
Hard to sit.
oh my.
He has a really nice
Does
spot
he?
to sit. Yeah. He's
Elizabeth
comfy.
wanted to buy him before Holly did. And she rode him and she said, no way, am I gonna do this?
Claire's trot isn't super
Yeah.
easy to sit.
But Holly makes it look easy.
Yeah, well, that's the trick.
Yeah.
You're like a duck. You're like serene on the surface, and you're paddling
Hi,
underneath.
pigeon.
It's kind of great in here. There's pigeons, and they fly around, and the horses just get used to it.
Oh, sure, that's good. Steady left, and when you turn, you almost have to remember to shorten the outside as well, because you want the bend in the body to be even tighter. Anytime, and you increase your legs. The smaller the turn, the more you have to use your legs in those different ways. If you're going straight down the long side, oh, take a deep breath. You know what I mean? It's like time to relax for a moment. The corners come quick enough. But remember, corners are our friends. That's what Wolf used to always say. Corners are our friends. And he said it with a German accent.
Get
It
the
was so
horse in the
cute.
corner. This is
And
fitting.
every dressage rider gets their horse in the corner because you guard the haunch, you bend him shorter than he is on any place else. He comes out of it with another half halt, and you've got more horse. It's hard to have more horse in the walk, but you have more horse when you're doing trot or something else. After you come out of those tightening bends, they're like, whoo, I feel better. And you got more scope to your stride. So, okay, now you keep that left rein. Even if it's I just don't want to see loops in it. It doesn't have to be tight, and it doesn't have to be pulling. I just don't want to see loops in it. And then the right one you can do, like on this side, you might have to do a squeeze like a sponge rather than a ring finger. Just because he's a little stiffer in that jaw, and he's like protecting himself from having to bend that way. And if he was really resistant on the stiff side, then you take the soft side. It's a complicated problem because if they're so resistant on the stiff side that you're not getting them. You know, like Wolf said, from nothing comes nothing. So you have to get them then on the soft side first, even if it requires a tiny bit of change of bend in just the behind the ears, and then get them onto the hard rein again, because you're halfway there. You have half the pole. So, okay. So now we're going to want to push you into a trot. I'm not good at giving directions on where to go. I'm kind of a coach type trainer where you ride the way you ride,
Okay.
and I correct it and maybe tell you something else to do. But I tend to,
You can do all your,
Your
small
stuff,
circles,
yes.
serpentines, whatever feels
whatever
good.
you feel like, hey, I'm good with it. I'm not one of those trainers that said I didn't tell you to do that.
Yeah.
And it's more of a collaboration than it is a do this, do that, do this, do that. Because I find that for me, you end up doing the same thing for everybody, and everybody doesn't need the same
You're
thing.
right.
So,
Yeah.
okay, good. And, okay, now I'm gonna ask you to trot. And did you feel how he went down there? And he felt really good and soft, and you were kind of like in limbo for a second. And that's where you want to be, sort of.
For the trot, yeah.
Exactly. And that's when you ask for the transition upward.
Take breaks if you
You don't ask for the transition